Ino will take less damage because Arc System Works decrease her defense modifier value. In the old patch, that sequence did 108 damage. In the current patch, she now takes 103 damage, so a loss of 5 damage overall to Ino. This is very much on par with what we've been seeing so far. Ino 6B has increased recovery. As you can see, it's fairly substantial for Ino, so this should mean that she's less likely to be able to get away with spamming this in neutral as often. Ino's air throw has been buffed. Previously, it pretty much pushed the opponent completely on the other side of the screen. And now, the opponent is a lot closer to Ino, meaning it should be possible for her to get better Okizeme options. Arc System Works' goal with Ino for this patch was to improve her neutral, so they took a couple of her moves and made adjustments to them in order to do so. Previously, her antidepressant scale was subject to the repeated usage limitation, meaning that while one of the projectiles was out, she could not send out another. If the opponent was able to guess the arc of this move correctly and avoid it, Ino basically had to wait for it to completely whiff before she could prepare another one. Now, the projectile is no longer subject to the limit usage. If Ino has one out, she can fire another one. When she fires another one, it cancels out the first one, causing it to detonate so there's an active hitbox. This means that Ino is able to see that the opponent is evading one of her projectiles and fire off another one to try and stop their approach, or even try to detonate one early to trigger it and then trap the opponent behind a second one. There's a lot of potential use cases for this. They also made adjustments to the blowback. Previously, the opponent on an aerial hit was launched pretty far away. They've reduced this in the new patch so that the opponent is going to be closer to Ino now. As you can see, they fall straight down. This is nice for Ino because this means that instead of using this projectile to zone the opponent and push them back to full screen, probably her weakest point of neutral, she's able to gain ground against them instead if she's able to successfully snipe them from the air. This is great for Ino. Chemical Love has two changes. The simple change is that they increase the damage on it. It did 33 in the old patch. In the new patch, they increased the damage to 41. Additionally, they added a new behavior to it. If you hold forward during the move, Ino will also advance forward, allowing her to be closer to the opponent. That's without holding forward. And that's with holding forward. This means that Ino is able to use this as a zoning tool to gain ground, as well as increasing its effective range. Because of this, there's some tricky combo implications as well. For a demonstration of what he can do mid-screen with Ino and her new behavior on Chemical Love, we got Tickle Me More here. The extra forward positioning from that forward Chemical Love was crucial in order to get the following link on it. It's also useful for Ino's pressure, as Jump Slash into Chemical Love 6 is actually plus on block, and it also leads to great conversions on hit. It's really cool to see this move, which was underutilized in her kit before, getting a lot of attention now. Tickle Me More even demonstrates the difference in how Ino would convert off of certain hits from neutral, and how big of a difference this HCL change makes. You went from the ability to just get a knockdown near the corner into a safe jump into a full-on wall break now. That's actually really great for her. For the slash and heavy slash version of Stroke the Big Tree, they got a nice little quality of life buff to them. Their hurt boxes will no longer expand until the end of their active frames, so Ino is able to maintain a lower profile throughout the entire move until the duration's done. Practically speaking, this means that there's less likely of a chance that Ino is going to get hit out of it on startup, especially against moves that aren't intended to interact with it. I have a very simple demonstration here with Asuka 6P. In the previous patch, you would see that the 6P from Asuka actually traded with Ino, blowing her back. Now for the current patch. Slash Stroke the Big Tree just simply beats the 6P cleanly because Ino's hurt box doesn't fall into the active hitbox during the same timing now. This is honestly great for Ino, as it means that the opponent is going to have to more directly call out this move with moves that are going to interact with the low profile hurt box. Mad Love Agitato had an increase in his active frames. This should mean that Ino is able to more reliably connect with this move in pressure and combos, but it also changes some of the RPS sequences the opponent can do against this move. Previously, Axel Low could 2K and low profile Mad Love Agitato, completely ruining it. Now if Axel tries to do this, he's actually punished. This means that characters that could try to remake a read and low profile this move with some low crouching 2Ks now have to just simply respect this move and the pressure that Ino has from it now. Overall, a nice buff to matchups where this was a problem for Ino. Arc System Works also made improvements to the buffer window, making it so that you can buffer moves earlier when Ino connects against the opponent with this move. This should mean that's more reliable for Ino to get intended follow-ups as opposed to missing them. All charged versions of Sulty Performance have had their damage increase for Ino. The kick version did 37 damage before, as did the slash version. And the heavy version did 33 damage. And now, the kick and the slash version do 48 damage now. In addition to the damage increase, the heavy version of Sulty Performance also has a couple other properties changed. It takes less time for it to reach the charge version, they increase the hit stop on the final hit, and they increase the launch height as well. As you can see, instead of falling behind Ino, Asuka now falls forward in front of Ino. As well as that, the move overall did 46 damage. This should mean that Ino is able to more reliably use this in some combo sequences, and I have an example of that. Thanks to the decreased charge time of heavy slash Sulty Performance, as well as probably the improved input buffer of Mad Love Agitato off of a counter hit Mad Love Agitato, you're able to combo into that version of the dive now. At this point, I should definitely recommend that if you're looking for more Ino tech, go ahead and follow Tickle Me More, as they're posting tons of it. Ultimate Fortissimo has a subtle adjustment to its blowback. On a grounded counter hit on an opponent, after the initial hit, there's reduced horizontal blowback and launch height. Now, we have to actually look at this in action to see what's happening here. As you can see, the opponent is fairly far away, to the point where 2, even 3 of her 2 S slashes will whiff. Now for the current patch. We see that Ino is only able to whiff 1 2 slash before the second one will actually connect against the opponent, indicating that the opponent is now closer to Ino. What this practically means for a match is that if Ino is able to use Ultimate Fortissimo as a reversal against the opponent is now closer to Ino, meaning she gets better offense after she uses this move against their meaties. So again, this is something where she's going to be able to appreciate this and turn the tide. No doubt some Ino players will have to adjust to the new timings and options that they have in this sequence. Overall, I think there's a lot of really good changes for Ino in this patch that clearly target some of her weak points as a character and try to improve them without completely overhauling the character entirely. A lot of jank that used to be in her kit or things that clash with her identity have now been changed so that they do feel like they function a little bit better. The changes to her antidepressant scale, for example, mean that she's able to react to the opponent's move in neutral and have more options to contest them with the projectile, making it a little more unique compared to other projectiles, as well as more rewarding for her because it now enables her to potentially close the gap against airborne opponents on hit. Chemical Love's change is huge for her conversions as well as pressure sequencing, giving her a whole new flair with the move that I think just sort of adds more to the character in a cool stylistic manner as well as a strong functional manner. There's a lot of quality of life changes happening for her as well, kind of fixing things that felt like they should have worked like this before, and I'm namely eyeing the behaviors of Stroke the Big Tree in this version of the game as well as some situations with Mad Love Agitato. And of course, the improvements to her dive kicks mean that she's able to get better rewards for them as well as be able to improve her overall combo routing to kind of keep up with the rest of the cast, who in some cases have seemed to have had their own meterless conversions improved. I think Ino's going to be a pretty solid state and character in this version of the game. I'm excited to see what some players are going to be able to do with her going forward.